What is up, everyone? My name is Chris and Fanzone. You are listening to the Hidden Doors podcast. Upcoming, I have my conversation with Adrian Cahill. He is a personal coach and organizer of Asia's best NLP training, and he helps executives and entrepreneurs achieve more freedom in life, more emotional, intellectual, and financial freedom. So I hope you enjoy our conversation. Adrian is from Australia. He's a very nice person, cool dude. I hope you enjoy the conversation. If you do, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. If you haven't done so already, hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date on more videos and podcasts like this. I hope you enjoy. So how long, let's start here. What exactly do you do? Because I think now I finally got this right. I've heard NLP for a long time, and I don't know. I think it's Neuro Linguistic Programming. Is that right?
Great. Yeah.
Look at that. So what do you do? Because it seems like you're doing a lot of interesting things, talking to people, helping spread knowledge of how to be successful. What exactly do you do?
Yeah, community is in my DNA. So when you look at my definition for success isn't my bank account. It isn't a Ferrari. My definition came along from my parents, and they were a community. All my war medals all through the cupboard there, mine and my grandfather's and whatnot. So community is the biggest thing I do, is being a positive influence in the community. Working with myself, individuals, business owners. At the moment, the majority of my work is training, and a smaller, pretty much 50-50, coaching, training. And yeah, I got out of the rat race a decade or so ago. So I do most of it from passion and love.
Rat race meaning you were working in a 9-to-5 job?
Yeah. I left 9 to 5, 2008, 2009, never been back.
Got it. What were you doing? What made you say, I need to get the hell out of here? And what was it that was able to get you out? Was there?
This helped a little bit.
Ooh,
Looks
like Monopoly, but a different version of it.
Yeah, it's the advanced Monopoly kind of thing. That helped a lot. Learning about, just reading books, and before podcasts, listening and reading the books like Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Napoleon Hill. I was reading all that kind of stuff, and I was in the military, and I simply was able to read books like yourself. I love learning, so I read some books about how to make money, how to buy investment properties, how to do the stock market. So while I was in the military, I just banked my money into property and stocks, and I guess I've been investing in stocks and property for 23 or so years now.
Got it.
And the last 6 months, I've lost more than I have in my entire span.
Yeah.
No sweat.
That'll come back though, if it's in investments like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting point for your readers that are investors. I've gotten out of all the crises scot-free. February last year, I exited the market before the crash. 2008, I exited just before the crash. Yeah, but the last 6 months has been the worst performing financially of my life. But I've been able to relax.
Yeah.
But it'd be a lot of stress for people that are in, crypto, gold, all these kind of things. There's a lot of pressure on those guys, including myself. I'm just able to figure it out.
Is there a lot of pressure on people with gold? Isn't gold wouldn't it hold its value more than I don't know. Cash, yes, but let's say who invests in cash? Let's say no one is really investing in cash. Investment properties and other things. So here I'm reading a book called, I haven't finished it. It's called The New World Order by Ray Dalio. I don't know if you follow Ray Dalio at all.
Ray Dalio, yeah.
And
phenomenal book. Even if you're just speed reading it, hey, and the pictures in the first chapter are phenomenal.
Oh, so you have read The World Order, The New World Order?
Yeah, buddy.
Got it. Step ahead of the game, huh? It's
Dude,
interesting though,
yeah,
right?
yeah, you wouldn't
Doesn't
have
it make you
interviewed people
think?
like me as much as I do.
It makes you think a little bit about like where are my investments safe? Like I have my investments in index funds and it's all based on, you know, I feel like it's all based on US based companies. I mean, I'm sure there's international stuff in it, but it's a lot of index funds and that initially seems really safe. But when I'm reading this damn book, The New World Order, it makes it seem like, every major country has like it's a main cycle, has cycles. It's new, it's booming, people are really productive. Then they get to their peak, they're booming, they're doing beautiful, but now they get a little bit lazy and they feel too wealthy and they stop doing the hard things and then they start having their downfall and then whatever. And then they crash and another empire takes over. And it's been happening like this for 500 plus, way more years. So then it starts making me think like, what? Am I really safe with these index funds? Like, what happens if the U.S. just, gets taken over by another superpower and we lose our reserve currency status? I don't even know. So reading this book makes me think, because everyone's thinking is if I put in an index fund, I'll be very safe. I just don't have to worry about it. I don't know if you read that book. Did you start thinking about how would because I haven't read the end of it, so maybe Ray Dalio has some nice advice. I haven't heard it yet, but I'm only in the middle, so I'm just getting like the worst. I'm getting the context of, hey, this happened to the Dutch, then this happened to the United Kingdom. It's going to happen to the U.S. and China looks like it's coming up on its upwards path in the cycle. And I'm thinking, what the hell am I going to do with my investments? Do I keep it in index funds? Do I think about international? So I don't know what the hell to do here. Maybe I'll get some advice from Ray Dalio at the end of it. But it's an interesting way to think about what my investments are going to look like in the future.
Yeah, man, 100%. And I don't know about you. I know myself, I normally measure my net wealth and I keep measuring my net wealth and watch that go. That's why, the last months it's been like, what the hell? And it just doesn't kind of make sense. And a key thing is measuring your net wealth is really important, I believe. But a lot of the guys I know that are in the multi millions, they measure their cash flow. And I remember talking with some guy. I think he was worth about 10 mil, and he just did a trip back to Australia, cleaned up another million from something, and his wife was pissed because they had to sacrifice like $20,000 a month. And he's like, I don't fucking care. I just got a million. He was always focused on measuring some but not the others. So I like to suggest that we measure our net wealth and our cash flow. Because if your net wealth goes, or your net wealth is going down, because of equities or currencies, but your cash flow is going up, great. Every week, every month, we want to be aiming towards getting a little bit more efficient with our business, a bit more efficient with all our work. So
Yep.
if the market's tanking and our net wealth is going down, it really brings us down emotionally. But if our efficiency and cash flow is going up, at least we can be like, oh, well, you know what? I've lost most of my net wealth because crypto or whatever, but I can see my cash flow is increasing. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. All those financial books, right? It's all about cash flow. The Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, all about cash flow. I got to get to that cash flow. This podcast got me zero cash flow so far. What is like the first investment that you've made that you started getting like good cash flow? Was it investment properties?
Yeah, the Roku ones, yeah. Stocks, yeah, a little bit.
Stocks are more about the net wealth.
Yeah,
Because you get what 10%, like an average of what 10%. If you look at over 40 years, you may get 10% earnings per year averaged out.
yeah, but you get access to information, and if you take some good guesses, you might get 10% in a couple of months or something. Goes a bit south, you wait a few more months, eventually comes back, you get your 10%. And a lot of people like myself thought, no, property or investment property is something that I do when I'm old. But yeah, I think it was one of Robert's books that kind of opened me up a little bit. And I suddenly realized that, hang on, the way you do it with investment property isn't when you're old, you do it when you're young. And it's as simple as that. Got to get an investment property as young as possible. And when I speak with youngsters, I'll be telling youngsters to put buying your first property, make that more important than buying a car. People say, especially where I'm from, you need a car. Well, great. Get your investment property first. Because then you'll definitely get a car. Once you buy the investment property, getting a car is easy. But if you get a car first, getting an investment property is hard. You got to pay registration, fuel, all these kind of fees. But if you're like riding a bicycle and struggling a bit riding a bicycle, it takes a bit longer. You know, you might have to wait another 6 months, maybe another year, maybe even 2 years. But then you get your investment property, and you know, a couple of years later, it goes up, it goes up, it goes through the cycles. And I've still got my first house. You know, it's not up a lot. You know, over doubled, close to tripled. I've still got my first property. Investment properties are really worthwhile looking at. Got to take a ballpark look, you know, take a ballpark look, properties, stocks, other strategies, and before picking a strategy.
Do investment properties in Australia have a similar I would assume it does, but there's a few things I'm thinking about in the US that I know is beneficial when you invest in properties, right? It's like depreciation helps increase cash flow. You can do a like kind exchange, and so you won't pay taxes when you sell that property as long as you swap it for a property of like the same size, and the value of it just moves with inflation. Obviously, some years like right now is probably pretty freaking high. Actually, your investment probably is pretty high. I don't know, but inflation in the U.S. is pretty high, so it moves up and down. But like those are the three things that it seems like. I don't know if you have like kind exchange in Australia, and I don't know if I would assume, but and depreciation, are those two things still the
It,
same?
it's kind of similar, but the tax law is a bit different. Like every time we sell a property, we're opening up to a tax expense there.
Got it.
But still going one investment property, and you know, maximum tax deductions, especially if you got a job. If you got a job where you're paying tax, you get the investment property, you pay less tax. It kind of, you know, and it's a bit of a struggle, but you know, you get through a couple of years and it becomes easier. The, you know, I think we're a bit older now, but if we can go back to when we were, you know, 18, 20, the first years of our life working hard and putting that into a property is the best strategy. But if not earlier, well, now.
Yeah. You can't go in the past. You got to do it now, right?
Yeah, but hey, this crypto thing's blowing me away as well. I'm not really into the crypto thing, but one of my partners was, and the crypto runs the last years. Holy friggin' smokes!
Yeah. Do you think crypto can take over as like one of the main currencies? Because the U.S. right now, like I said, if Ray Dalio is correct, and they're on their downfall, and the U.S. currency might lose its reserve status, let's say in the next 10 to 50 years, what takes over? Like, could a reserve currency take over? That's impossible to predict, but it's like, could it? I don't know. Like, it's an interesting thing to look at. It's
Yeah.
non-centralized, right? So, like, is that helpful? I don't know. You don't seem to be well studied into it, so you probably don't have a really good
Oh man, well
idea of this.
studied, but in being well studied, well unsure. I have a
Yeah,
lot of certainty that I'm going to be fine and I'm going to get through everything, but I don't have a lot of certainty whether I'm going to end up with a higher net wealth in a year or not. But I have a lot of certainty in myself. I don't have a lot of certainty in being able to do the right trades at the moment.
let's
Yeah.
say let's say a cryptocurrency takes over as like one of the main currencies. They're controlling, right? They're what I am really not studied on this, so I don't know what the hell I'm talking about here. But if you can control the supply of how much crypto is in there with like some blockchain technology, and it's very really sophisticated, it to me it could almost like replace gold as the gold standard. Like this is the digital gold. But right now there's so many different types. So like one or two have to win out, I would assume, but I don't know. But is that a possible thing? Like it replaces like the gold standard and we go back to like a crypto standard? I don't know.
Yeah. Real world experiences are great, right? And I remember having I think I ordered $2,000 worth of gold in silver coins, right? And I went out with a friend for a night out or something, a couple of drinks, came home about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, got to my front door of my house, and my front door was half opened. Shit. Anyway, house is all right. It was just an accident. But my heart was beating. And I just had $2,000 of silver. And at the time, I had crypto. I could leave my phone somewhere. Someone could maybe get my phone and hack. But it hit me. Hang on, I don't. But having $100,000 of gold in your house is a pain in the ass. It is a pain in the ass. You got to worry about that and stress about it. Not to mention safe, because you need a slightly bigger safe for that amount of money. So that brings a lot of inconvenience. Yet if I have crypto and I feel confident with IT, which a lot of multimillionaires don't, if I have that kind of money, well, I can just send it around the world. And if they come to my accounts, I can just go boom, 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 boom. Crypto money gone. Check my safe. It's got peanuts in it. So there's a lot of advantages with crypto, but there's a lot of people that still have gold. I call them gold bugs, and they have a lot of golds, and they're safe and they're hoarding their gold. A lot of people that are hoarding gold, they're also worried because they're going, what the hell's going on? The price isn't going up. I've got gold mines instead of gold mines, and the price is coming down. The market's being really, really weird. And a lot of defense stocks are coming down a lot. So we could really be moving into a new era. When you said about USA losing reserve status in 5, 10, I'm thinking, what if it happens in the next 5 months to 5 years? And Jasara is something you might want to look up.
What is that? Just Sarah?
Yeah, Jasara. I read Charles Schwab, The Global Reset. Charles Schwab, for me, isn't a bad evil guy. And he talks a lot about wanting to do some kind of reset and how they're going to do it. So, World Economic Forum, they want to do a reset, but what does it look like? And Jasara could be it. It's part of the possibly collapsing systems and having people maybe sign. And if they sign, they no longer have debts erased, and they now get a universal basic income, perhaps communism style, maybe not. That kind of system comes under Jasara, and it's written about, not that widely spoken about. But we're going through a financial revolution, and people can't see it. And if you search Google News, you won't find it. Over the last since 2008, I started traveling around the world looking at Google News. Traveling, Google News. COVID hit. I go to the business section and it's COVID news. WTF? I'm going through the business section trying to find business news. There's no friggin' business news. It's all COVID news. So why is the finance news being blocked? And a lot of my European friends are saying that they're changing all the laws so people can't carry like $5,000 anymore. Some countries, they can't carry more than $1,000. It's illegal to have bundles of cash.
Of US dollars? Or just
no,
any cash?
It'll be euro.
Oh.
So there's a whole ton of new financial changes going on in Australia, Europe, and United States. Lots of financial changes are going on while everyone's seeing COVID. Now, you and I got a few minutes to talk. What are we going to talk about? Hey, where's your mask? Do you want to give me a hug? We know we're going to talk about COVID. We won't talk about financial news. So this COVID stuff is taking everyone's attention away from that bigger possible collapse that Ray Dalio shows on his graph, and people won't know about it because you don't want the majority of people to know about it from a government perspective.
Yeah, it probably cause chaos.
Yeah, yeah, and people might disagree, and you want to manipulate the situation to your advantage. And what do governments want to do? They want to govern. So they want to manipulate situations so they can govern as much as they can. All the different departments want as much as they can. Everything wants to grow, take as much as they can. Taxpayer debt, grow.
The whole system really doesn't make much sense to me.
No,
I don't think if
upside
anyone
down.
fully understands it. Like, our government's in $20 trillion in debt, and they just keep buying more government bonds to keep the interest rates low, so people can still borrow money from the bank at relatively low interest rates, so they can continue having buying power. So there's no deflation, because once deflation happens, everyone goes into a recession, and then once you hit a recession, it's like, it's, who knows, it's chaos at that moment.
Are you sure it's not in recession already, but people can't see it?
It could be. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if we're in a flick. I know that when you're in deflation periods, that's when you start having a little bit of issues. I think you could be potentially in a recession. You don't even notice yet, because we're in such high inflation periods. I
With
don't know the
these,
economy that well, so I could be wrong. I have no idea.
yeah, yeah. Neither do I. Neither do I. What I do see is that things like hospital, education, justice, a lot of these departments around the world are reduced 20%. Not because of financial constraints, but because those people won't get vaccinated. So there's a 20% reduction in the workforce. We're not in a recession. We're just reducing the workforce by 20% because of a virus, a flu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a crazy world right now.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think I kind of think a lot of our countries could be in a hurt locker a lot more, and using the whole COVID thing as a guise, yeah, everyone knows what's going on. Everyone's got their own opinions. I've got friends and various experiences. It just looks like a cover up to me. Yeah, and I was involved in some stuff in the past, so I know from my military experience what happens on the field and what comes out in the news. They're often very different stories.
Yeah, I would
People
assume
can't
that.
handle the truth, so it gets censored and something else comes out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming there's a lot of stuff we don't know about in the public that's going on that the government
Yeah,
knows.
yeah, and a really hot thing, and whether people agree with it or not, Vietnam in America, Vietnam in Australia, the truths came out, people rebelled, it caused stuff. So, the government learned way back then that they've got to be careful what gets released. I was in Afghanistan, and what's a tragic thing over there is sometimes, people were shot, and some of those people who were shot were little kids. But those little kids might have had a sensor or a phone to detonate bombs. So they're a target. Now, you don't want that getting out to the mainstream media. So sometimes we don't want we don't want the public to know there's a recession, because people will start hoarding food and stuff, and about food shortages, right? You don't want that to happen. So you often have to block information to protect the people. So they say.
Yeah, it's strange, right? Like, I don't know what I would do if I was in a position where 300 million people were hanging on the word of what you could say, and if you say one thing, it's chaos. If you say the other thing, it's not chaos, and maybe we can get over it, then it won't be that big of a deal because it's for the greater good. It is tough. Like, when you have 300 million, and that's for you, right? The globe, right? You have 7 billion people potentially hanging on the words and the information that is put out there. It is a tough situation. Uh, I don't know what the right answer is.
And for that reason, I don't have any negative feelings towards China. I have a lot of respect for China. They've got a lot of people. They need strong leadership, and I'm actually really impressed with Chinese leadership. I've got a great place in my heart for China and what they do. They've got a lot to take care of. But hey, one thing you can do, one thing we can all do, and I think you know this, right? We can develop ourselves.
That is true. We can become less stressed and improve ourselves. Let's actually start talking about how do we improve ourselves now. Enough world burning
That's
down.
the solution to it all. You're not sure about stuff. You look on YouTube, push it to the side. How can I work on myself?
So, how do you work on yourself? What do you teach people when you're doing your coaching?
I'm a massive fan of NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming. I went to one of the Tony Robbins things. I found out who taught Tony Robbins, and I went and learned from them. I will happily, supposed to fly over to Italy to work with one of the co-creators. I went to Portugal the other year to work with the others. I work with the best in the field. I've been lucky to have the money. But even if you don't have money, books. One of the key problems is a lot of the best books coming out particularly in the States and in like airport bookstores. A lot of what people see are New York Times bestsellers. New York Times bestsellers are books that are released with a big marketing budget. Why do they have a big marketing budget? Well, they want to be number one. If you look at books like Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, the number one persuasion book, every year sales went up. It didn't just have no marketing budget, it was refused. So many publishers refused it. I think Tim Ferriss was the same. And every year after it was released, sales went up. Tim Ferriss, 4 Hour Work Week, Robert Cialdini, they were bestsellers years after being released. So your average person sees the wrong books.
Here, so I have a way to counteract that, but I think I didn't purposely do it. I just happened to luckily do it. And so I think this works. But when I want to learn about something, I just go on Amazon search and I click on something in books. So like top investing books, boom. And usually I'm not necessarily, if I see New York Times bestseller, it's a validation tool for me. But now what you're telling me might seem like it's just really a marketing scheme, but take that out. Amazon was pretty good at always promoting these other books because I've had Napoleon Hill, Robert Kiyosaki. I've read Ray Dalio, all of Tim Ferriss. I've read all of these books and I found them, but I'm not like, there's a couple ways. If you went to like a bookstore, they're only like featuring like really heavily promoted books because it's a business and they know that if these are being promoted, it's more likely that these people are going to buy it. Same probably with an airport. But when you go on Amazon and you search for it on Google, I think you get more than just top marketing budgets. And that's how I've been able to, because all the books that I've read, I think you probably have read too. And so Amazon's doing one good. Well, Amazon's great. Amazon does a lot of good things.
Man. And when you see someone like yourself and you've got like a top book list, boom. As long as the top book list isn't affiliate links. So some of the websites will list the best internet tools or the best internet server tools. And they're affiliate links. So you know what happens there. There was a great thing for like WordPress. My IT was saying, we're going to change to Thrives or something. One of my guys went to Thrives and it's just like, it was an absolute piece of shit. But the thing was, the affiliate fee was that high. Everyone was saying it was great.
That is interesting, right?
Yeah. So when you see someone like yourself, if you've got a book list, and someone else has their book list, and I love it when they give a reason like this is the book because of this and that. Yeah, man. So a little bit of research before you select the books and making sure the books are like awesome. And all those books you mentioned, obviously Ray Dalio's just came out, but the other ones, they're old. Fundamentals are timeless. Tactics, Robert, what's his name, Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels and stuff.
I haven't read that one.
That's really time sensitive stuff, like hacking Facebook, hacking YouTube. That stuff is really time sensitive. So that time sensitive stuff is where you might want to have a mentor or coach, be in a mastermind group, because the mastermind group is hacking Facebook or LinkedIn. But you want to get the fundamentals right before the strategy. And the fundamentals, yeah, all the older books nailed it. Some people asked me to write a book. I did the TED Talk thing back before. Some people were like, Adrian, write a book. My ego went, yay. And then I went, hang on. Why the hell? I can't write anything new under the sun. I can just get some different authors I like and put their ideas together. Maybe a little clarity. But yeah, a lot of people out there rushing to write books as a marketing card. Robert Cialdini, those kind of guys, Robert Kiyosaki, timeless classics. Robert Kiyosaki is pretty spot on with his last book as well, Fake.
What is it called?
Fake. And the book was very repetitive, but basically he said the education system, fake. The currencies, fake. Most of the gurus, fake. It's so much as fake, 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 fake. And it just repeats itself over and over again. But he did say the solution, invest in Bitcoin, silver, gold. And at the time, all of them went right up. So he was right on the mark.
So here's what I would say, though, where the value of a book that you write can come from is someone at a, let's say, college, or anyone, let's just say anyone who doesn't maybe value reading like we do. I try to read 4 books a month, 3 or 4 books a month, and I'm just like at it, boom, 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 boom. But that's a lot over, let's say, 10 years. You're talking about hundreds of books. Now, is there a way to synthesize that data into a more succinct book that someone who maybe just is out of college, or someone who's just trying to get a quick idea, a roadmap of like, hey, I don't know what the hell I'm doing when it comes to investing, when it comes to goal setting, when it comes to eating healthy, when it comes to being a leader. Is there an initial, it's almost like what you do as coaching, but like condensed into a book, and that's something that they can read and then say, oh, I had no idea that, when it came to investing, cash flow is really important, and that I shouldn't spend my money on crap, and that buying a house isn't really an investment. It's just buying something, and everything that if I'm buying things as investments, they should be making me money back and bringing cash flow. Like, then you could say, these are important things you need to do in one chapter. Here's who you should listen to. You should listen to Robert Kiyosaki. You should listen to and then it builds them a roadmap, because like you said, if they don't have that roadmap, it's very easy to get tricked by all these marketing but the book that have all the marketing budget and doesn't give them the roadmap. That could be an interesting way to think about it, is that you're not rewriting books, you're just synthesizing it for people who don't have the time like you, to who have accumulated so many books, and give them a roadmap to where they should look first. Like, I think that would be really valuable for people. There you go. There's your book.
Yeah, I tend to do workshops on that. We just did a workshop on money, free workshop as well. We just did a workshop on money. That's why I had the game right next to me, because I held it up at one point. And I had a lady there as well. She went to my workshops like 6-7 years ago, so it was wonderful. I often do that through workshops. So yeah, maybe one day a book will come. Maybe. So when it comes to developing yourself, we got to make sure our resources are spot on. And also got to recognize that the books are not the truth. I like to consider them as a partial truth. Everything you've said, Chris, everything I've said is a partial truth. Someone will disagree, and what they are doing is they are sharing their partial truth, and that's all right. So we've got to recognize that all the books are partially true, and the authors typically have a personality. And if their personality is a real go-getter, then their solutions and their strategies will probably suit their style. It might not suit someone else. So recognize that as we do our development. There's a big philosophy around, do we make our strengths even stronger or do we fix up the weakness? The chain breaks at the weakest link. But people are known for their strengths, not their weaknesses. There's a lot of hearsay. I'm a big fan of, if there's obvious weak links, yeah, fix them up. And I do both. I'm continually looking for weaknesses and old anchors, old stuff that's slowing me down and speeding up. And then I work on my strengths. I'm not that good with tech and I want to do some emoji thing. These emojis. So stop. It only takes a little bit longer. I look up, like yourself, I look up YouTube though. I look up YouTube, how to work emojis fast. Takes me 10 minutes and I learned that you just hold the Windows key and press full stop at the same time. So Windows key, full stop, dunk, and it brings up the emoji button. And then you can just type prayer, clap, flower, and it does it really quick. So that was a process. It took 10 minutes, but it's increased my efficiency. So every week I aim to just be just 1% more efficient. Every week, just 1% more efficient. If you do this, you're on an upward spiral. That's the most important thing, is that we're on an upward spiral, right? If we're going up, 5% a week or 1% a week, 50% a month, 50% a year, 5% a year, it's up. We got to be in that upward spiral. And a lot of the times it just takes a few extra minutes to double check that book or look up a how-to video and consistently just get just a little bit more efficient.
What can people practically do when you start helping people? Like, are there any practical things that you start telling them to do so they can get their life into this 1% better? Like, hey, write down goals, eat better. I don't know what it is, but is there other things that you teach them and tell them to go through, like they can do starting tomorrow to get better?
Starting tomorrow, okay? We have a lot of yang energy. Yin, yang. Yin is still. Yang is go. Our culture is full of yang. Our culture is also full of left brain. Yeah. So with the yang, we need more yin. I generally get all my clients to do a really simple meditation. It's breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out. So what's that? Ends up being 8 breaths. Just 8 simple breaths. But the breaths should be even. 4 seconds in. Pause. 4 seconds out. Pause. Now we just slow down a lot. And if we were to really do it, Chris, we would really slow down. And in that slowing down, we'd get really present in our body. Kind of the opposite of watching YouTube, the opposite of Netflix. So with so much yang, I like to teach, or I get all my guys to do this practice of bringing everything down. And when it settles down, we start opening up the pipe between conscious and unconscious, or left and right, and we start getting more full or whole brain. So this, getting in a whole brain state, from there we can access more of a wholeness and make better decisions. So too much yang, bring some yin in. It's one of my favorites.
Got to get that yin, baby. I love meditating. I do a nice deep breathing exercise every morning. Just relaxes me. What about
Yeah.
goals? Do you have your clients like write down goals for themselves?
Oh man, I'm doing some stuff with a gentleman, Overdurf, at the moment, one of the world's best in the NLP coaching space, right? And I wanted to ask him the same question. So many NLP trainers and coaches teach, but they don't always do. The thing with goals is go get. Go get. You know how many people succeed with goals? It's
No.
bugger all.
What is it?
Bugger all. It's like maybe 20% of the
Uh,
population are kind of like goal setters. personality-wise, maybe 20% of the population are goal setters. So I don't think goals work for most people. Yeah, and I won't do it because I
That
don't think it.
that is the common um that's like a common, I think, debate within this space is like goal setters or lifestyle changes. I've if you've read Atomic Habits at all, I think you may have, I don't know,
No, I
but
got pretty good joke, but
Atomic Habits is I think more focused on not goals, but more of changing the habits in your life so you can get better. But my whole thing is I think that we're looking at this in two different ways. Like, yes, if you're only goal focused and you don't change your lifestyle, I think it's like short term. Does that change you as a person? But then if you're not even focused on any goals and you're only lifestyle focused, what do you change in life? Do you like you to me, you should know like what am I going to change in my life based on what I want to get to. So if I have a goal to be healthier, I know in my lifestyle changes I need to meditate every morning, cut out, only eat whole foods, only drink water, blah, blah, blah. Lifestyle changes based on where I want to go. I feel like there has to be a complement of both. You can't be so focused on one or the other. I feel like they have to balance it. Like you have to know what inputs affect which outputs. In my head, I feel like the argument tends to be they're both important. You can't be only focused on one thing. So I don't know. I've been very goal focused, and then I've read more books like Atomic Habits, and I'm like, okay, I really need to focus on also the healthy habits in my life and make them consistent. Because if I don't have consistent habits, then it doesn't matter what my goals are. I don't know what your thoughts on this whole subject are, but
yeah,
I think they're both important.
yeah, they both are important for sure. And one of the most common goal principles, like SMART goals or smarter goals, probably came from the Olympic era, helping athletes get gold. But you don't want a gold medal, man. You want a gold lifestyle, you know. So that 20% goals or SMART goals, or from goals, doesn't really work for everyone. But it's nice to have a vision. People like to have a destination, and if you want to think about your future 2, 3 years in advance or 5 years in advance, NLP thing is you get a picture of your future, and I wonder if that picture is that picture in front of you. Is it clear or is it fuzzy? Because a lot of people don't have a picture at all, or it's fuzzy, or it's blurred, or it's some other location. When we have a clear picture of what we want, we can get there, more easily, and it can provide a level of certainty. So I think it's great to have the goal. The thing is, what can also work perhaps more efficiently, because only 20% of goal setters, is problems. What are the problems you want to get rid of in your life? You're a man, I'm a man, we got even women here, I'm sure. How many people solve problems? We solve problems, yeah.
We cause problems too.
So a lot of people are more likely to solve problems than go get goals. So we can look at the problems in our life, like I don't have enough money. And then, we kind of have some problems and some goals and a future vision. And the future goal and vision, perhaps it's partly external and internal. And then to really get a good spectrum, do a bit in each category: goals, problems, external, internal. Yeah, maybe, as some other people might say, towards all this pleasure stuff and also away from the pain stuff. But pleasure away from pain, like away from broke, only motivates you so far. Then you get your paycheck and you're comfortable. Spend your paycheck, you're broke again. Oh, I'm motivated. I make a little bit of money. I got my paycheck. I'm happy. And I slide back to broke. So away from motivation takes us away from the pain, but only away so far. Where the towards motivation pulls you in. But most people aren't trained to be pulled in. We're all trained to move away from fear. Moving away from fear is innate. Moving towards making $1 million, isn't natural. Yeah, fighting someone to get food on your plate if you haven't eaten in 2 weeks is more natural Making $1 million is completely unnatural. So few will do it, but a majority will stay back towards poverty, motivated by the pain, motivated by the pain. We really need to look at the what we call in my work end state energy. So rather than $1 million, what do you want? What do you want to feel every day? What kind of energy do you want to be living by? And work with that energy. So then, if you're in a good energetic state, whatever comes up, procrastination, something, whatever, you'll be able to handle that much better with the right energy. So, more important than the goals is the energy behind them.
Yeah. You gotta want to get the goals down, right?
Yeah, we got to want the goals on every level as well, not just on an ego level, but on a deeper kind of soul level. Some other people talk about multiple brains. Simon Sinek does a terrible job. Simon Sinek, you discovered it in a book, tell the truth. He talks about the triune brain, but the triune brain is also one, two, three head, heart, stomach. So the first brain, I think, was actually maybe the stomach or the heart. These were the first brains. This brain came later. The triune brain, Simon Sinek talks about, is one, two, three in the head. But the triune brain actually relates to 1, 2, and 3. And we want to get all our brains lined up together. Sometimes I say it's kind of like Santa Claus and his sleigh. Yeah, you want to get it all lining up, but you've also got the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, like the left reindeers, the right reindeers, and you got Santa and his sleigh and his heart and his stomach. We got to get the whole thing moving together. Now, once we get ourselves moving together, then comes partnerships, collaborations. But if we can't, if Santa's sleigh can't go, if our left and right hemisphere or if our head and gut can't get in sync, partnerships are pretty useless. Spending money on advertising is pretty useless. Going out there and knocking on doors trying to sell stuff is pretty useless if we don't have that head, heart, gut, left and right set up. We get that stuff set up, then we're ready for partnerships and scalability. I hit my goals already. I'm really stoked about where we are. We're doing some training like every Tuesday night, and then Wednesday night we do advanced training. And I've got a couple of clients, 2 kids. I am set, man. And we're like, we're approaching the end of January, and it's just like set.
Beautiful.
Just more meditation and mindfulness for me this year.
Yeah, right. I think we could all use that this year. Last year, 2020, who knows how long this thing goes on for. More mindfulness. The last part I want to touch on is I know that you teach executives or you're training executives. What do you think that some of the most crucial parts that are missing in executives that you can help train people? I feel like everyone wants to be one day an executive. Like, well, how do you become a better executive? How do you become? When I say everyone wants to become, if you're ever working in a corporate environment, the goal is to be higher up. Higher up, you need certain skill sets and experience. What are those things that you think are the most important that are missing that you can help bridge the gap for people who are like executives in a company or organization?
What I personally get a lot of is like CFO, CTO, Chief Financial Officer, Chief Technical Officer, or slightly underneath, maybe a lead engineer or something. Very left brain logic. Very smart. Very smart. But they're smart with the logic. And a lot of the emotional world is a bit more right. And relationships between things is more right brain. Yep. So if they're really strong in logic and making charts and finances and engineering and these things, they're generally weak in the right, which is where I come in. And I help them enjoy the emotional social game. I used to be a complete retard with women. I was so freaking hopeless with women. It's hilarious. So I kind of started my personal development journey. So what I'm typically actually kind of doing is helping the CFO and the CTO get mastery with relationships, social, emotional intelligence. With some of my smaller business owners, like a CEO, in his 30s to 40s, a CEO at that age, is generally trying to juggle business, team, partner, maybe kids. So that's a lot to juggle. So I'm teaching these guys how to juggle. And obviously that's a metaphor, but I actually do it like a metaphor. And I have them juggling and laughing, even over Zoom. Over Zoom, we're like juggling, and I got a couple of tricks. Right? Next thing you know, the CEO that's been struggling for 8 years suddenly gets it, and he starts laughing. And then his whole attitude has changed, and next thing you know, like I'm getting presents in the mail. I'm getting presents from the client or his wife, because suddenly he has just had a flip, and the game has become enjoyable. And the thing is that the juggling is no longer backed up with a Jaws soundtrack. Dun, dun. It's now got circus music playing. Yeah. So it changes a whole attitude to juggling all these balls or all these plates.
What is the juggling? How do you, like, juggling is a metaphor, but like, does everyone have their own way of juggling things? Like, if they have left brain, relationships, partner, like, what? That's a lot of things to have to juggle. Are there, like, do people have certain methods for juggling, like in real life? Like, there's no realistic way I can juggle all this, so I need to focus my time on this in the morning and this in the afternoon. Like, how do you juggle all that stuff when you're that high up?
So typically people will and they stop and they bend over, and it's broken, and it brings their whole state down. So juggling a lot, energy and state is incredibly important, your energy and state. And typically when people juggle, they go into a tight state. Our natural reaction is to get tight because we don't want to drop them. But we got to be loose. Yeah, we got to be loose. If you have a child or an employee, we might need some firm rules, but we need to be relaxed. Yeah, in military the same. I'll never forget, we had bombs going off in Afghan, and me and my mate were sitting outside having a cup of coffee and a cigarette. And the thing is we're going to get bodies coming in, and we're going to be working our ass off for the next 12 hours. So we'll completely relax, kind of like meditate. And then we get into flow. Mihai, Csikszentmihalyi flow is one of the best reads. So we've got to relax and start to juggle, aspirations, personal development, working overtime, kids, finances, relax. It's all coming together. But it's really good to have a coach. And obviously I'm going to promote coaches, but coaching is friggin' incredible. Because if you have a coach that's holding you accountable, the amount of my clients that I stopped, losing their whole friggin' is incredible. Because so often they were on the edge of divorce. Yeah. And maybe on the edge of maybe going bankrupt or getting, seed funds. They're on the edge. And a lot of the times they get so overworked, so tense, that they end up missing things. And they're so tense they can't meditate. So they come with me, I take them on a quick journey. Next thing you know, they're friggin' relaxed, and maybe I do some hypnosis work, but not always. Sometimes it's just conversational. Hypnosis can be as simple as just relaxing a little bit, and maybe a little bit more. So I can have them relaxing on the beach, and very quickly I can teach them these things, and I can retrain their brain fucking rapidly.
Do you
really
think
rapidly, man. Yeah.
do you think that you are the way you are because of your military background? Like I feel like a lot of military people, maybe I'm basing this on like movies because I am not informed on this, but it seemed like every time you see a military person, they seem to like be able to have camaraderie and joke around in the worst of scenarios. And again, this might be a lot of movie based because I never been in these environments, but what you said sounds like something I would see in the movies, like guys just drinking and smoking before they go to battle. It's like no human being has ever been most human beings in this world don't go in those situations. And so you're never tested to that level, but somehow you can still stay calm. And then when you get out of it, everything else is easy. It's like this I'm not in battle anymore. This is easy. I'm good to go. So like is there a way to simulate that? Meaning, hey, you're not hey CEOs, you're dealing with a lot of stuff, but this is nothing compared to battle. I've dealt with way worse stuff. You guys need to get you need some battle in your life to make you understand what's really hard. And then maybe that's like a do something really difficult, like go try to run 20 miles in one day and try to do that. Or is there a way to, like find that simulation of really tough world life experience to bring you back to reality to show you that what you're dealing with is really not that hard?
I love what you're saying, Chris, and you're right on point. And I don't do it a lot, but I'll often pause and I'll mention that story about being, having a cigarette and coffee before it comes in. Now, if I say it short, you get the point. But if I say it long, if I give you the long version, I can tell you the same story and stretch it out over 5, 10 minutes or half an hour. And I could add in some fiction to make it more relatable to you. But there's certain things that will click with you and will get you more in the story. Do you have any children?
One daughter, 8 months, coming up on 8 months.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Well, in my story, if I was to edit and change my story for you, I might mention how my friend was there and he just had a 8-month-old, 9-month-old baby boy. Yeah. And he was really worried about his baby boy and he had a picture. Now, you said you had a daughter. So it's not a direct match. So it's a bit it's not completely obvious that I'm talking about you. But I'll continue to talk about him and his boy, and you will start relating it to you, and you will really get more and more in the story. Especially if I say I was a man whore and I was single, and my mate was there with his 8-month-old boy, and he didn't know how he would handle it. It was his first time dealing with this. He wasn't sure if he would be able to just relax and stay calm, or if he would freak out like they did on TV. And anyway, so I can share and use storytelling to a higher level. Joseph Campbell, hero of 1,000 faces, or Joseph Campbell is a great resource when it comes to storytelling. We can take storytelling to higher levels, and that'll be an exciting thing in future, because I think in future what will happen is you'll be able to go on virtual reality, AI experiences where the artificial intelligence will link up your problems and you'll get a movie which has been specially curated for your trauma or for your goals. In that movie, it'll be a person that you really click with, and the communication styles will also fit with you. So when I'm working with engineering types, I can talk about the engineering aspects of my past. Right? So we'll have special movies that'll have like an engineering base, and you'll be able to experience it through virtual realities. And in these movies, you might resolve past traumas or prepare yourself. We can transfer a fair bit through storytelling. And that's why I use the hypnosis elements, because hypnosis elements can really get people in the story. create profound change. But you're right. You know, a lot of the military have been through this experience, so it's easier for them. It's part of their natural gift. That's why I get invited into the corporate room sometimes, and you know, business owners recognize if he can do that and that and that and that, I'm sure he can help me with my problem. And with our time together, I'll transfer my knowledge and experience into him, consciously and unconsciously into him. Having regular sessions every week, more and more of my mindset gets into him. Deliberately planting seeds and unconsciously planting a lot more seeds for fruition. If you ever work with money coaches or you see people working with money coaches, be very careful because there's a ton of poor money coaches out there and fake money scripts and hypnotic scripts written by friggin' poor people. I have a detailed look through the script and I'm like, cross, cross, cross. Got to write it from scratch.
Good advice. If I ever hear someone doing need a money coach, I'll just send them your way. Adrian Cahill. Boom. Done.
Yeah, I don't really like to focus on that, but the thing is the unconscious is far more powerful than the conscious. So if a person's unconscious has the goods, they should come out. But if they don't have it unconsciously and they make it up, which happens a lot in the online space, the last 10 years has been a pile of fluff in the online space. So there's a whole pile of fake coaches and fake gurus out there that are they're faking it, and underneath the surface, they're still working on it. So there's a lot of coaches, business coaches, life coaches that are still in the first maybe 5-10 years of sorting out their stuff, and some of their bad juju comes across.
Yeah. Well, you're not. You know what you're doing, so we'll send people your way. All right. Well, we just passed the hour. I appreciate you coming on here. One thing I have to ask you of though is on Riverside. So this is the platform I'm doing on Riverside. What I love about this platform is that it takes the actual. Are you familiar with Riverside?
I've never seen it, but I'm impressed. I can see a couple of buttons around here, man.
Got it.
Uploading to OneDrive and everything.
What this is really good at, which I love it, is it takes your actual computer file, your local file, and it uploads it to the platform, which is better than Skype because Skype is an internet version and it's all wacky. This way it's crystal clear. Your video and audio are crystal clear. But the one thing is, because we're so far away from each other, you have currently uploaded 29%, which means it needs a little longer to upload. I think the only thing that you need to do is just keep the computer open, or if you don't want to do it today, I can send you a link where you can just click on it and then it'll continue uploading. But then it'll make this experience much more clear, because otherwise I'll have to rely on the web version, and the web version is going to be crap.
Well, cool. So I think I pressed the stop button or something, but I keep this whole page here and I'll keep it uploaded.
I would assume so. If it's a pain in the ass for you, then I'll send you a link to do later.
I'll go to sleep downstairs, man. It's all good.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. It was a really great conversation. I know we're in different countries, but our countries are allies. So thank you for your service.
We're human beings. We're allies, brother.
Yep, that is true. Everyone's allies. Appreciate your service. Appreciate you coming on here. Thank you very much, and have a good night.
Thanks, Chris.